Most people misunderstand mental strength. They think it looks loud, aggressive, unshaken, like someone who dominates every room they walk into, someone who never gets emotional, someone who always has the perfect response, someone who appears completely unaffected by pressure. But real mental strength usually looks nothing like that. And psychology shows that mentally strong people often think very differently from everyone else. They train small habits that slowly change the way their brain responds to stress, discomfort, pressure, and emotion. Most people never notice these habits because they look simple from the outside, but over time, they completely change the way someone experiences life. The first trick is learning to delay your emotional reaction. Most people react immediately. Someone says something rude, and they instantly respond emotionally. Something stressful happens, and panic takes over before they've even processed what's happening. But mentally strong people create space between the event and their reaction. Psychiatrist Viktor Frankl once wrote, "Between stimulus and response, there is a space. In that space is our power to choose our response." That small pause changes everything. Because emotions are temporary waves. If you react during the peak of emotion, your decisions usually become worse. But if you pause for even a few seconds, your nervous system starts calming down. Your thinking becomes clearer. And suddenly, you stop being controlled by the moment. That's why emotionally intelligent people often appear calmer during pressure. It's not because they feel nothing. It's because they train themselves not to react instantly. The second trick is learning to stop explaining yourself to everyone. A lot of people waste enormous emotional energy trying to make everyone understand them. They over-explain their decisions, their emotions, their boundaries, their life choices. But mentally strong people understand something important. Not everyone needs access to your internal world. Constantly defending yourself usually comes from needing approval. And approval is emotionally addictive. The more you depend on it, the weaker your emotional stability becomes. Quiet confidence works differently. It understands that being misunderstood sometimes is part of life. And instead of wasting energy trying to control every opinion, mentally strong people focus on controlling their actions instead. The third trick is reducing overstimulation. Modern life constantly attacks your attention. Notifications, social media, endless information, endless comparison, endless noise. And most people don't realize how deeply this affects emotional stability. Your brain was never designed to process this much stimulation all day long. Constant stimulation keeps your nervous system slightly anxious all the time. It becomes harder to think clearly, harder to focus, harder to regulate emotions. This is why some of the strongest thinkers in psychology, philosophy, and leadership protected solitude so carefully, because silence strengthens the mind. When your brain has fewer distractions, your thoughts become clearer. Your emotional reactions slow down. You become less impulsive, less emotionally scattered. Mental strength grows faster in quiet environments than chaotic ones. The fourth trick is learning how to label emotions correctly. Most people say things like, "I feel bad," or "I feel stressed." But psychology research from UCLA found that specifically naming emotions actually reduces emotional intensity. Because vague emotions feel overwhelming, specific emotions feel manageable. There's a difference between saying, "I feel terrible," and saying, "I feel rejected," "I feel embarrassed," "I feel anxious," "I feel disappointed." The moment your brain identifies an emotion clearly, the emotional centers of the brain begin calming down. Mentally strong people don't ignore emotions. They understand them. The fifth trick is allowing people to underestimate you. Weak people constantly need recognition. They need everyone to see their intelligence, success, growth, or potential immediately. But mentally strong people often improve quietly. They don't announce every goal, every plan, every achievement, because they understand that attention can become a distraction. Silence protects focus. And psychologically, there's less pressure when people expect less from you. It gives you room to grow privately without constantly performing for an audience. A lot of powerful people throughout history built their greatest strengths quietly before the world noticed them. The sixth trick is changing the way you speak to yourself internally. Most people don't realize how aggressive their inner voice has become. Every mistake becomes, "I'm stupid." Every failure becomes, "I'll never improve." Every difficult moment becomes, "I can't handle this." But your brain listens to your internal language constantly. Over time, your thoughts become emotional conditioning. Mentally strong people don't pretend everything is perfect. They don't use fake positivity. But they also don't emotionally attack themselves every day. Instead, they learn balanced thinking. Not, "I'm a failure," but "I made a mistake." Not, "My life is ruined," but "This situation is difficult." That small shift changes how the nervous system experiences stress. The seventh trick is intentionally training discomfort. Most people organize their lives around avoiding discomfort, avoiding rejection, avoiding uncertainty, avoiding difficult conversations, avoiding embarrassment. But avoidance strengthens fear. Every time you escape discomfort immediately, your brain learns that discomfort is dangerous. Mentally strong people reverse this process. They deliberately expose themselves to small amounts of discomfort consistently. Cold showers, difficult conversations, speaking up, doing hard things without immediate reward. And slowly, the nervous system adapts. What once felt terrifying becomes manageable. This is why confidence is usually built through repeated discomfort, not comfort. The eighth trick is learning to observe more than you speak. Strong people are often excellent observers. They notice emotional patterns, insecurity, manipulation, fear, confidence, emotional reactions. Because human behavior reveals itself constantly, most people expose their emotional state through tone, body language, eye contact, impatience, and reactions. And the more you observe quietly, the more emotionally intelligent you become. That emotional intelligence creates a different kind of confidence. Not loud confidence, calm confidence. The kind that doesn't need to prove itself constantly. The ninth trick is detaching from outcomes. A huge amount of human suffering comes from emotional attachment to specific results. People become emotionally destroyed by rejection, failure, embarrassment, uncertainty. Not because the event itself is unbearable, but because they emotionally attach their identity to the outcome. Mentally strong people still care deeply, but they stop emotionally collapsing over every result. They focus on effort more than control. Because psychologically, attachment creates emotional instability. Detachment creates emotional freedom. You stop panicking over every possible future, and your mind becomes calmer because of it. The 10th trick is mastering facial and emotional control. Your face constantly reflects your nervous system. Most people reveal anxiety immediately through their expressions, their eyes, their posture, their reactions. But emotionally grounded people develop stillness, not emotional suppression, emotional control. This is why elite negotiators, military leaders, athletes, and high-level performers train calmness physically. Because the body affects the mind. The calmer your body becomes, the calmer your nervous system becomes too. Stillness creates psychological power. And finally, the 11th trick is stopping the obsession with happiness. Modern culture constantly tells people they should feel happy all the time, motivated all the time, positive all the time. But psychology doesn't support that idea. Carl Jung believed that psychological wholeness mattered more than constant happiness. Because emotionally strong people don't panic every time life feels uncomfortable. They understand that sadness, uncertainty, frustration, loneliness, and anxiety are normal parts of being human. They stop fighting every negative emotion. And ironically, that acceptance often creates more emotional stability than endless positivity ever could. And this is what most people never realize about mental strength. It isn't built during easy moments. It's built during difficult ones. Every stressful moment becomes training. Every uncomfortable moment becomes conditioning. Every emotional challenge becomes an opportunity to strengthen the nervous system. Your brain adapts to repeated emotional behavior. If you repeatedly panic, avoidance becomes stronger. But if you repeatedly stay calm, face discomfort, and regulate emotion, your mind slowly becomes harder to shake. That transformation doesn't happen overnight. It happens quietly, slowly, almost invisibly. Until one day, you notice something strange. Things that used to overwhelm you no longer control you the same way. You stop reacting to everything. You stop chasing constant validation. You stop depending on emotional chaos to feel alive. And people begin feeling your presence differently. Not because you became louder, but because you became steadier. And steady people feel powerful in a world where most people are emotionally reactive all the time. So stop chasing loud confidence. Build quiet mental strength instead. Because the strongest minds are usually the calmest ones. And if you practice these psychological habits consistently, your entire life slowly starts changing from the inside out. Quietly, slowly, but permanently. If this video helped you, leave a like, comment which psychology trick hit hardest, and subscribe for more psychology content. See you in the next one.